people were describing this throw. I think there were a couple, but the one that was really making the rounds was Justin Fields. I believe he was rolling out to his left.
Yes.
And so he had to kind of throw it against the grain. He threw it sidearm.
Across his body,
yeah.
Very Patrick Mahomes-ish.
Yes. And he was it Wims he hit? There was one with Wims, and who was...
I think this one was one of the younger guys.
Okay, and he threw it. It was a dime for a touchdown.
I think it was Calvin Ridley, maybe. Maybe that's who it was. But it was a great throw.
Riley.
Oh, did I say Ridley?
Yeah. Riley Ridley.
Riley Ridley, yeah.
Right.
Who did I say?
Calvin Ridley.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what's going on.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Look, you had a long weekend in Canton. Let's talk about it with Dan Wiederer, who joins us on the Corona Hotline right now. Dan, look, I'm sure you're going to come on and you're going to take out your fire hose, and that's not code.
Excuse me?
That's not code for anything.
We don't do that on the show.
And you're going to put out my fire that I'm excited to see those throws from Justin Fields, but you can't do that to me today. That was sports porn.
Go ahead and do it to him.
I'm not pulling out my fire hose on you guys ever, first and foremost.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You did take your shirt off in the studio once before.
Second of all, after the throw to Calvin Ridley, he had another beautiful throw to Jerry Rice in the end zone. That was a beautiful play.
Hey, listen, you can wish, you can hope, you can dream.
It's all about dreaming right now.
Yeah.
And so if you want to dream here in early August, Silvy, you have the license to dream. It was a beautiful throw that you guys are talking about. It's one of those plays where it's almost like Fields is charging a hopper as a shortstop, right? And grabbing it and with an awkward arm angle, making a perfect throw on the dime, caught in the back of the end zone. Those plays are evident all throughout training camp. There's flashes of them at all times. No one has tried to water down the excitement of who Justin Fields is athletically, what he can be in this league, the long-term potential that he has. I think where we're at right now is understanding that those throws are going to happen, but what the Bears coaching staff wants before clearing him to play and try to win games in the NFL is a complete mastery of where the ball needs to go on certain plays. And he's making progress in that department as well. So big week here. We're all going to get to see him play on the field against another opponent on Saturday at Soldier Field. No fire hose today.
No fire hose.
My
concern, how about a bucket of water, is that neither Justin Fields nor Andy Dalton are going to be able to get a pass like that off because they're going to be on their back because they don't have an offensive tackle healthy.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're 100% right. And they're welcoming the Dolphins to town on Wednesday for a pair of crossover practices and then obviously the game on Saturday. And you have to think that Matt Nagy is going to have a talk with the other coaching staff and say, hey, listen, like, we're pretty beat up. On the offensive line, I don't even know if we can field a third team to run a lot of stuff. That was something that they were doing over the weekend where, Nick Foles would come in with the third team offense, run 1 or 2 snaps in a period, and they'd be like, okay, that's it. We got to take some load off these offensive linemen who are just trying to get through a practice. On Saturday morning out there at practice, because of various things, injuries, COVID-19 reserve list, Veterans Day off, they had a practice without 6 offensive linemen and without 7 defensive starters. Oh, and so you're standing there in early August and you're going, yes, Matt can keep saying we got a long way to go to the opener. He's absolutely correct in that regard. But that opener sneaks up fast, and certain guys are more worrisome than others. And right now, Tommy, to your point, the offensive line is an absolute mess, and they've got to figure out a way to get some stability up there really quickly.
Can you read to Waddle, if you didn't see it, or to our listeners, the starting offensive line for Sunday's practice, the ones? This was something.
Yeah, so you had Alex Bars and Arlington Hambright at tackle. You had Cody Whitehair and Dieter Island at guard, and you had Sam Mustipher, your regular starting center, at center. So that's who's running with the ones, right? And so that's where you're at. And now look, Elijah Wilkinson today gets the green light to come back off the reserve COVID-19 list. So at practice tomorrow, he should be able to take first-team reps at left tackle. Not quite sure yet what the concussion protocol status is with Larry Borum. Hopefully this week he can get back on the field and potentially take some reps at left tackle. Then it brings you to Teven Jenkins. When is Teven Jenkins going to practice for the first time? That's the big one. And so we're still sort of playing that waiting game with everything.
I was gonna ask you about him because ESPN in Bristol, all they're doing, it's like nonstop Dak again, back to Dak. Oh, Dak shoulder. They're asking, is it worse than everyone thinks? I'm asking this for our team, like, when do they stop saying that it's just nothing, and we could have a major issue if he continues to never practice?
The one name, and I'll just tell you this, that came up among beat guys, and not because there's any sort of
don't say
intel
it.
that
Don't say it. Don't you say Chris Williams. Don't you dare say. Okay.
I was going to say Kevin White.
Oh,
Kevin
get
White,
out!
yeah.
You show yourself out.
Just from the standpoint of it was, it was like, oh, it's no big deal. Oh, we'll have him back. Oh, he's stress fracture. No, don't know the next time he's actually going to play in a football game. And so that's where you get into this August game where a guy's out, and then you're like, whoa, there's got to be something more to this. And again, the injury and the missed practice time are two different things, and two things that are exactly the same, right? In terms of, this is a guy that absolutely needs a lot of practice time to get familiar and comfortable, and for the coaching staff to be familiar and comfortable with him, to clear him to be a starter in NFL football games. And so right now, Teven Jenkins doesn't look like he's going to be in line to start the regular season at that position. And yeah, there is a point where you say, come on, somebody's got to give us some more information on why this is taking so long.
I heard somebody suggest that Teven Jenkins isn't even out there doing really anything other than holding a script and following along. Is that accurate, Dan? And if so, that's a concerning situation.
Well, he's been seen doing stuff off to the side with trainers, some conditioning stuff, some ropes stuff, some stuff on the hill that they have built on their new practice fields behind the Walter Payton Center. So there has been some activity. Once the true team practice and stuff begins, he's not out there doing individual drills. He's not out there, doing anything other than that. So, read into that what you will.
I hear that there is a noticeable uptick in speed at a lot of different positions. Would you call that an accurate statement? Whether or not it's Justin Fields at the quarterback position, but they also added a ton of speed on the edge in offense.
Yeah, I mean, I think you feel it in the receiving core more than anything. And then, Damian Williams sometimes. You get Damian Williams in some of these one-on-one drills, and this guy has a really nifty ability to put his foot in the ground, change direction, and leave some really good football players looking really silly. I've seen him do it to Roquan Smith in the first 2 weeks and some other guys where it's just impressive, and you understand why Matt is eager to mix that into the offense, right? And give him another guy that you can play chess with. And I think that, when we go back to the first question you asked me about Justin Fields, I think right now they feel like Andy gives them a better chance to play chess, where they can create matchups with all the different backs and receivers and tight ends that they have to be able to really stress out a defense, and that Andy will know how to play that game at this point in time, to a higher level than Justin does. And so that's something that they're looking at. And yeah, I think that speed is part of that equation.
Dan, what would be your best guess for how Coach Nagy will use the quarterbacks and the number of reps and playing time?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we got to dig into with him this week, because the 3-game schedule as opposed to the 4-game preseason schedule presents a different rhythm to things. I think the question you asked earlier about the offensive line is going to factor into things as well. Okay, what do we have healthy, to be able to feel like we can protect our quarterbacks? Otherwise, are we, rolling Nick Foles out there for a long stretch just to say, hey, get these guys some work, and if you get crushed back there, so be it. That's what the
it'll feel like last year for Nick Foles. Well, I mean,
with the quarterback situation, I think the plan is to get Justin a lot of work. I think you'd probably want to get your ones, a series, maybe 2 series in this game. I think some of it will depend on how much work they think they've gotten against the Dolphins on Wednesday and Thursday to test some things out and get Andy in a rhythm. But they've promised Justin a lot of work in these preseason games. And that's exciting for Justin. It's exciting for all of us who want to see it in live action. We want to see him run with the fear of getting hit, right? And see if he can use those instincts in a way. We want to see if he can escape pressure and turn plays that are broken into big plays down the field. So all of that is fun. And hopefully they have an offensive line intact to allow him to do those things.